Hey everybody, it's time for The Plot Hole with your hosts, Johnny O and Jeremy Flair.
Are you gay?
Coming at you live.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Every Friday night at 8.
Every Friday night at 8.
On rockmetaltalk.com.
I went my jockey's here.
Something stinks like stale French fries.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
I killed your cat, you drunky bitch.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
And I'm all out of bubblegum. All right, so if you're in the chat, you know that GreaterSapien is here. We are working on getting him in. GreaterSapien, if you're listening, I sent you the link to join the live chat for this. Just click on that. I'm sure you know how to work this stuff, probably better than I do. But yeah, whenever you're ready, get in on there, and then we'll get you on for a chat. Really looking forward to this. Uh-oh. Hey, yeah, man. Really looking forward to this. Highlight of my week coming up. Yeah. Let's see here. Boom. Yep. Whenever you're ready, Mr. GreaterSapien, you jump on in. And then we'll get this party started. Maybe we can convince Mama Tega to stop frosting a cake to come over here and sit down with us for just a little bit. Because it's always fun to get Mama Tega on. Always fun. Let's see here. Boom. Yeah. Join whenever. Whenever you're ready. Hit that join button and then we'll get you in. Probably helps if I unmute the channel.
Yeah, that'll help.
There he is. Mr. GreaterSapien. Can I call you Jerry?
Yes, I prefer it.
You prefer Jerry? Awesome. Good. I
prefer Jerry.
Awesome. I wasn't sure. I know some people like to keep their anonymity, but...
No.
All right. Well, everybody...
This is Johnny?
This is Johnny. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
I'm so glad to have you on the show. All right. Now, I want to introduce you as you have introduced yourself on Twitter, because I think this is one of the most amazing Twitter introductions I've read. Illustrator of stuff and explorer of things, two-fisted defender of science, critical thinking, and social justice. Father, husband, atheist, weapon. I love that. I can't tell you how much I love that. I think it's probably the most...
I'd forgotten what I had put.
After watching your YouTube channels, both of them, I don't think you could have put anything more accurate in your Twitter handle.
Thank you.
But yeah, man, it's so awesome to have you on the show. All right, so there's a couple things I want to talk to you about.
I assumed you had not an agenda.
Oh, I have an agenda. I do.
A bullet list of things to discuss.
Yes. All right, so I got into listening to your show or watching your videos on YouTube because of the whole flat Earth thing. I don't know if you listened to this show before or not, but I've got a buddy who, I love him to death. One of the coolest people I know, but he's a flat earther. I didn't know this going into our friendship. It kind of just came up. But he gave me all this silly shit that the typical flat earth proof and the flat earth rhetoric that you hear all the time. So I said, man, how am I going to convince this guy that what he's saying is just stupid? So I went to the community, started with Team Skeptic, and then from Team Skeptic, that whole Daniel Pratt thing. That's when I caught a hold that video that you guys kind of did together.
Whole cesspool of
Yeah, I did a Daniel Pratt video. I just put it out today. That guy, dude, he's fun. He is fun.
Yeah, I saw that it was up there. I didn't watch it, but I saw you put up.
If you get the opportunity, I would love to hear your feedback on it. Anyway, so that's when your name came up on my radar, and I saw the back and forth that you and D Marble had. And I was hooked.
I love that guy.
Yes.
I appreciate him, because I think you'll understand this. It's very, very much there's a bond, kind of between people and just in the black community in general. And I know so many people like him. He's like, I kind of think of him like one of my cousins that is like, oh yeah, I got a cousin just like that. And so he needs to be talked to.
Right. See, people who watch your show who don't really understand, I guess, that type of community, they don't get. Yeah, it seems like you're both very adversarial, but to me, you guys look like my cousins and I talk.
Right. I don't know if it's mutual because he's got me blocked on everything. But as far as I'm concerned, there's absolutely no animosity on my part. I have no problem with busting his chops and kind of like digging at him because that's just what I do.
Right.
But there's no malice there. He's actually one of the few people who is like cleared to post on it, like automatically approved. Like he's whitelisted on all my media if he ever chooses to reach out. And I actually reached out to him the other day, just with everything going on, just to see how he was doing. But I haven't heard back from him. But I'm like, hey, what's up, brother? I know you're up there in Washington, probably all by yourself. How you doing?
That seems to be a common theme. A common theme with these flat earthers is solidarity.
So So I reached out, but I'm reaching back. That's fine.
Yeah,
we had a fun back and forth.
It was very entertaining. Very much like watching a good tennis match. Well, I say a good tennis match, but he didn't really have the equipment to keep up.
Well, I mean, you can have a really good tennis match, and you know what the outcome's going to be no matter what. It's like, oh no, this is going pretty good. I mean, he's going to lose, but this is a good little tennis match.
Oh yeah,
but that guy's going to lose in the end. Yeah,
it was definitely entertaining. I think my wife is going to enjoy it.
I actually was just kind of having a lot of fun with that. It was just fun.
Oh yeah, you could tell, right? So watching your videos, you could tell that for you, this was just entertainment, sheer entertainment. And
for some people are actually really good springboards for conversation.
Right.
And it's like I nothing against him personally, and I know he thought I was targeting him, but the fact is like he brought up a lot of stuff that people were saying to me a lot, and when they would say it to me, I'd say, where do you get that from? And then they would say he was saying it. So I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to direct this to him, but it's a way of talking to all those other people.
Right.
That's he was just a vehicle to talking to all those other people. Nothing personal, just like, hey, I know people are listening to you, they're coming to me, so this is for them.
Right. I feel like being in this business, you kind of have to have a thick skin. So if you're going to be, especially if you're going to be on the fringe ideas of conspiracy with flat earth or anti-vax or whatever, you better have some thick skin because there are going to be some people that come after you.
They're going to come for you, yeah.
Yeah. I want to take a second to introduce Mama Tega. Mama Tega is my wife.
What's up?
She's probably the prettiest woman in all of radio, so.
She puts up with that.
She puts up with me. I don't know why she puts up with me. I have yet to figure. I stopped asking. I stopped asking why, because if I figure it out, then maybe it won't work anymore.
Yeah, he's afraid I'll say, "Okay, I'm done."
Just accept the blessing.
Exactly. All right. So what do you got going on right now? How is that whole flat Earth debunk community kind of? I mean, is it done?
For me, I'm trying to put it in my rear view as much as possible, just because it is such a thankless and kind of relentless task, and it's so repetitive and boring. After a while, at first, when there's an intellectual challenge that I like when someone says, "How's this happen? How's this work?" And I like the challenge of I explain this in a way that someone will understand. There's that. It's a challenge to myself. It's like not so much can I convince them, but do I know enough about this topic?
Right.
And can I use language well enough to explain this simply? And so that's what a lot of this was. It's like, oh, that is a stupid point they tried. Let's see if I can explain it in a way that makes sense without being too overly jargony. But after a while, it's like, okay, I've explained everything several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now when people ask me a question, I just refer them to a video I did 3 years ago. I already covered that.
I have very limited exposure to both communities, and I have even seen that it just gets regurgitated. I mean, it's the same old song and dance, so I can totally see how you feel that way.
Yeah, so it's really kind of tired. So I don't want to do videos, be doing video. I don't want to be just like generating content because I have to. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm not like a YouTuber. I'm like a guy who does stuff and occasionally puts it up on YouTube.
Right.
And so if I'm not inspired to do it, I don't do it. Someone will say, "Oh, what about what such and such just did?" I'm like, other people are talking about it. I can't bring anything to that conversation. Why do I need to say anything?
Oh, for certain. I mean, I will say that as a consumer of this, I do appreciate your voice and what you have to say. So,
thank you.
Even if you don't have anything fresh, I mean, just hearing what you have to say, I think for a lot of us is important because, I mean, I don't consider myself science. You know, I'm not stupid when it comes to science, but I definitely don't have the level of understanding that you have, that other people in this debunker community or even in the science community has. So I appreciate hearing all of your opinions or all of what you have to say.
Literature chops, though. I was listening. I was like, damn.
Oh, well, thank you. That was my discipline. So I'm English. I have a degree in English.
My wife's in English. Yeah, she'll appreciate that. Yeah.
It's a thankless. Nobody cares, right? So
I know. My wife will talk about something, you know, because like that, she was English major. That's all, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I look at her like, that's cool.
I think what really drew me in for the science part, I was really big into science fiction. Mm-hmm. So being able to seeing those two thoughts or those two disciplines kind of merge together was always fun for me. And looking at how
I think that it is really fun, and honestly, that's what got me into, you know, science. It was probably Star Trek when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was just one of those things. It's like, that happened.
Yeah.
Does that work? And then you find out, okay, it won't. But why won't it? Oh, okay. I don't know. Well, this is cool, but this will work. That's awesome. I learned that, you know.
Exactly. And looking how science fiction, whereas it's usually, it is science based, but the thing that really draws me in, the literature side of science fiction that draws me in, is the social commentary. If you're not reading science fiction and picking up social commentary, you're missing out on probably 3/4 of what the story is about.
Oh, yeah. That's why I find it so laughable, you know, these movements of people complaining that whatever comic they watch, you know, read or show they watch is got social commentary in, and it's got this. I'm like, have you paid attention to any pop culture, anything you've read or watched your entire life?
Yes.
It's always been there.
Yes.
A vehicle to talk about people and their experience.
Exactly.
Let's put these people in an extreme situation and see how society breaks down. Let's talk about it.
It is definitely a way to over sensationalize just the craziest of crazy things that people maybe aren't talking about or are unwilling to have that conversation. Not too long ago, I had a conversation with J.L. Warren about Night of the Living Dead, the original black and white version, with Dwayne. Oh God, golly, I just completely spaced on his name. So terrible of me. Is it Dwayne Johnson? No, Dwayne Jones. Dwayne Jones. There it is. With Dwayne Jones being cast in the lead, and how in the '60s how important that was, especially in the horror genre.
Oh, yeah.
So, kind of piggybacking onto that, social commentary being what it is, we've got to talk about the bullshit that's going on. I have to say that...
Which bullshit? You can't just say the bullshit, because...
All right, so we're going to specifically talk about the past... Let's see here. When was Jim Crow? When did Jim Crow start? What was that? 1965? So, yeah, we're going to talk from 65 on. I get into a lot of, I won't say a lot of debate, but I get into some debate and discourse about what the police really are, especially in the South. People don't seem to realize that police in the South, after Jim Crow, after the Civil Rights Act, they were specifically commissioned to re-enslave black people, because a lot of people don't realize that the 13th Amendment, yes, Emancipation Proclamation, unless you were in prison, then you become a slave again.
Right, and you got these really asinine little like loitering laws and after dark laws and all these things that would give people a reason to just like, oh, you're not supposed to, you can't be outside after sundown. Well, okay, we're going to swoop you guys up and say, hey, you're outside after sundown. Go to jail. Oh, guess what? Now we put you to work.
Right.
You're, just loitering. Can't be standing in this area. Oh, okay. Well, put you in jail. Nope, not back to work.
Right. And then look what all those chain gangs were doing. What were they doing? The same shit that slaves were doing. They were tending to fields and crops. It was just re-enslavement. That's all that it was.
Yeah, that's all that it was. And even, and it is, it's like the beginning of the prison industrial complex. It's like, this is what prisons are for. This is the way of getting keeping the economy going.
Right. All right, so kind of we're going to fast forward a bit, quite a bit actually, to the current goings on. Now, I remember as far back as the LA riots with the Rodney King thing. I was still young, but I was old enough to understand that some serious shit was going on, even if I didn't understand completely. Now,
right.
I have dealt with my fair share of racism, being a mixed child of I got some white folk in me, and I got some Mexican folk in me. My father's a Mexican-American. My mother is German, Scottish, Polish, Irish, all that fun stuff.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah. So I've got the last name. I've got the Spanish surname. And we lived in an area that to this day still has an active chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. So, yeah, I've dealt with my fair share of racism, and in no way, shape, or form that other people who've dealt with, like my grandfather dealt. My grandfather's World War II pilot. He should have been the first Mexican-American pilot in the United States, but they failed him because they said his landing was too bumpy. But he would tell me stories about how he would go to war, and when he'd come back from war, he would read signs that, would say, no N-words, dogs, or Mexicans allowed. Right. And he said they would let a dog in before they would let me in to a bar.
Yeah. It was amazing bit of democracy that was perfectly willing to make use of these people for bodies, for fodder, for their political, and for the actual important things that had to be fought against.
Sure.
But they'll say, well, they fought for your freedom and this and that. It's like, well, they fought for freedom there, but then they came back, they weren't free. So it's
right. Yes, exactly.
Really fighting for, they're fighting for freedom over there, but they didn't get it when they got back here.
They were fighting for freedom for other people. Yeah. So you've had a lot to say about the police brutality issues and the Black Lives Matter movements. How do you feel How do you feel about the mischaracterizations of the BLM movement?
I understand. I understand it because the Black Lives Matter movement isn't not like this monolithic thing, like this perfect structure where there's like these specific spokespeople giving out a certain a certain message. There are the kind of the chapter heads who've been dealing with it, but it's much more organic and amorphous than that. And so you have people who speak, and they seem to speak for Black Lives Matter, but they're just people speaking for themselves. And so it really muddies the water of everything, and it is incredibly frustrating because I think the goal is noble, what the fight is for, but the messaging is key, and it's really hard when you have you don't have a cohesive group. It's not like a political structure, a party structure, or anything, right? To keep that messaging consistent. So it's like this whole, the whole defund the police.
Okay,
that's that. I understand it, but just the words "defund the police" is frightening.
Yeah,
people.
You get a lot of people that hear "defund the police" and they think anarchy, anarchy, no cops, no cops.
Yeah, and there are some people. There are some people who are saying, eliminate the police,
right?
But that's not that was never the point of defund the police. When people have asked me about it, I said, well, I think of defund the police, and I don't like this analogy, though I think it's kind of accurate. Defunding the police is kind of like the concerted effort funding the schools.
Right.
They've been defunding the schools for years. We still have schools.
Right.
But they've been, when they started defunding the schools, they weren't eliminating schools. They were taking money from certain places and putting it in other places. So then schools had to scramble and restructure themselves to deal with the money that they had. They said, we're going to take this money away and we're going to put it toward this. And that was in their own little sly way. They were defunding the schools. When I think of defunding the police, I think of it in a similar way. It's like, no, we're not getting rid of the police. We're going to take some of this money. We're We're going to move it over here.
Yeah, we're going to take away their military-style weapons.
Things to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've been defunding the schools for a long time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Did you notice? I mean, you're a little bit you're a little bit more seasoned than I am, just a little bit.
Seasoned? That's nice. I like that. Seasoned.
How has the structure of the police? Have you been? First, let me back up a second. How long have you been in the West Coast? You're in California, correct? Los Angeles area.
Yeah, I'm in California. Where are you?
I'm sorry.
Where are you?
I'm in Texas right now.
You're in Texas. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you had Team Skeptic, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Now, the left side of my family, my father's side of the family, is from East Los Angeles. I spent a lot of time out in California. I absolutely love it out there. I think the weather's awesome. The people are amazing. If I could live there, I would, but I can't afford it.
I was born in Texas. I was just there for a minute, though. I was born on a Laughlin Air Force Base.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And Vietnam time.
Right.
And then I was from Des Moines, Iowa, up till about the age of 12 or 13 or something like that. And then I've been in California since then. So that would be 40 years. I've been in Oakland.
Okay.
40 years.
Oh, so you're Oakland area.
Yeah, I'm Oakland. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So you
and I've seen my first major experience with like organized racism was when Des Moines, where I was from, got its first like black radio station, and it was somewhere around 78 or something like that. It was a big deal. They got the first black radio station, and the Klan came out. Like, where the hell these people been hiding?
Yeah,
they just popped out of nowhere. Yeah, obviously they didn't pop out of nowhere, but
it sure seemed that way. Yeah,
and I was like, oh, all right. I thought I didn't know this about my town, my state. Know that.
It's kind of a culture shock.
Yeah. I guess I was 10. I was like, wow, what the heck?
Yeah.
And that was, and I was like, I was raised by people who were by rebels, like, Panthers and former Panthers, because there is a kind of a pipeline. I-80 goes from Bay Area all the way out to Chicago and on through. And so Des Moines, which crosses 80 and 35, was kind of like, it was a stopover for a lot of people. And so there were safe houses and all sorts of stuff in Iowa in Des Moines for Panthers. And so I knew, and after things kind of died down and broke up, a lot of them kind of ended up in Iowa, retired there. And so I had been, hearing the talk, about all these kind of things. But it wasn't until like the Klan showed up, I'm like, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't just a theory.
Yeah, I can't remember how old I was whenever I found out that there was still an active chapter in the area that I lived over here in Texas. This is when I was growing up. I must have been, up until I was 12. No, up until I was 15. That's when I moved to the DFW area. But when I was blown away that, because I'd always known. I remember it being in like 5th grade, and we were out in the school, out in the in the boonies, and we had some people coming to work on the school, and one of them was black. And Jesus Christ, if these kids, and I do mean kids, didn't flip their shit about, and this and that. I'm like, dude, that guy makes more money than all your parents combined. What do you what's your problem? It's
amazing. One of my sharpest memories is my family had friends in South Dakota, and we drove out, family van, and we got to someplace in the middle of outside of Venice. We were just driving through.
Right.
We were in some small town, and we stopped at a stop sign, and I shit you not, some kid probably about my age at the time, I was probably about 11, kid about my age, just heard this voice say, "Look, Mom, Negroes."
Wow.
And we kind of looked and went, what the
Jesus
hell?
Christ.
Are we that rare. We were just like, my mom just said, no, just keep driving.
Yeah.
Keep driving. But I just remember we were all just like, and we busted up laughing afterwards, but just there was this shock of, what?
Yeah.
This is a thing?
That's funny. My sister moved to San Antonio, and she went she took us some back way to get to her house from Fort Worth. And when we got to a place called Hyco, Texas, it's one of those one-stop places, one-stoplight towns. They had a corner store, and then they had, and this is no bullshit, the first time I remember this vividly, the first time we ever went through there, we stopped off at the gas station to get gas, and I look across the street, and I see a cafe called the Coffee Cup Cafe. And I know you know where this is going. Spelt with 3 Ks. I said, get the fuck out of here. Come on, you're not even trying to hide it. You're not even trying to hide it. Last time I went through there, they took down the cafe. Now it's just a coffee cup with 2 Ks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so did you, getting back to this whole police brutality thing, how bad did it ramp up once they started militarizing? Because I remember when the Patriot Act was passed in the late 90s, early 2000s, we all of a sudden, we've got podunk-ass police departments with fucking tanks.
Right.
Shit seemed to ramp up. I mean, just so much worse than it was.
I think here in Oakland things were a little bit different because our police department was so incredibly corrupt and so violent for a long time that when the militarization started happening, they had already basically, like, the state had already taken over our police department and practically stripped it, and it was like on like double dog dare probation. Because it was just, I mean, we had gangs of police.
Yeah.
The Oakland Riders were a gang of police.
Mm-hmm. I remember. I think one of my cousins was telling me about that business.
So they were so bad. There was so much abuse, prostitution rings, violence. They were a gang. So things were, I think, a little bit different here in Oakland when the militarization started, because they were being watched like crazy. They still are. That's one thing that's been kind of good when it comes to protests here is, we have some incidents and stuff, but our police know they are being watched.
Right.
We have citizen review boards. I'm actually considering running for the citizen review board. I've been part of the recruitment panels for these. I try to, for people who just get out of the police academy and then they do their interviews to be policemen, and I've been a part of those panels for a few years.
Oh, that's
screen out folks. So our police department is really, really being watched. They're still problematic in terms of the way they op and kind of profile, but the level of violence has gone down considerably.
So, okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because that seems to be like the biggest thing that we need to fix is racial profiling.
Yeah, I mean, profiling is easy. I mean, it's easy. It's easy. It's one of those things. It's like it makes it less work. Okay, we're just gonna go a nice easy profile, and we're gonna grab these people. But it's like, it's a job. You got to do the work. You got to make sure you got the right people.
Right.
It's not. We're not. The goal isn't to make this easy for you. There are two schools of thought. There's probably more, but two schools of thought on. There are people who are super concerned that the guilty get caught, and then there are people like myself. I'm more concerned that the innocent don't get punished.
Right.
And so more people are perfectly willing to say, we're going to scrape up some innocents. As long as we get all the guilties, we're fine with scraping up a bunch of innocents.
Yeah, they're cool with that until it happens to them.
That's not my, I'm like, I'm okay with a few guilty people. They're going to do some other shit another time. They're than people who have not done anything being cooped up.
Right. So with that, do you think that maybe it's a societal thing we need to get away from? Because it seems to me that there's this narrative, and I'm sure you remember this, but back when Katrina hit, there were 2 newspapers that reported on there were two newspaper articles and they were front page papers. One, it showed these two white people that were wading through water carrying bread and some grocery items out of a store, and it said the headline was Louisianans after finding food or something like that. It was something benign and whatever. And then there was another paper that ran almost, I want to say it was the same fucking day, but it was a picture of these two or three black kids that were coming out of a store carrying bread and grocery items, and said, something like Louisianans after looting.
Right.
It seems that we tried to paint black folk as looters and white folk as, they just found that, no big deal.
Yeah, there's that, and a lot of it is like, it's unconscious bias. I mean, there's like overt racism, and there's like kind of this bias that people don't know they have, and it just kind of comes out. I saw one earlier today. Some reporter on article on Twitter was talking about some people there was a Juneteenth celebration going on in some town, and there are some people with like All Lives Matter signs, confronting them. And the thing said that counter protesters confront Juneteenth celebration with signs of blah 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 blah. And I first thought was, why are they counter protesters? Juneteenth celebrations aren't a protest.
Yeah.
So these aren't counter protesters.
Yeah,
they're protesters.
Exactly.
They're protesting Juneteenth. They're protesting the celebration of the end of slavery. These aren't counter protesters. But by calling them counter protesters, you're automatically saying this Juneteenth thing is a protest.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, do you know what you're saying?
And there's so many instances of that, right? Of black people, what they do is wrong, but white people, when they do the exact same shit, they get a pass. Yeah,
and
okay, so for instance, really quick, I hate to interrupt you, but really quick.
Oh, no, I tend to interrupt people.
No, that's cool. During one of your live streams a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about the whole black on black crime. That's bullshit. There's no such thing as black on black crime, because we don't talk about white on white crime. We don't talk about that. So if we don't have white on white crime, and I've brought this up before, and like, well, there's no such thing. I said, well, by that, then there can be no such thing as black on black crime, because crime is going to happen in the community in which crime lives.
Right.
Period.
Exactly.
It's not black on black. It's not white on white. First and foremost.
Statistically, most crimes, violent crimes otherwise, are intra-racial because they're inter-community. That's just what they are. I did in my last video. There's the whole black on black murder is at 88% or whatever,
right?
But white on white murder is 80. It's like 81%.
Exactly.
It's like, that's just how it works. It's a tragic thing. It's terrible, but that's just how things. It's like people, when they're around other people, that's where the crime happens. People don't usually travel far for crime.
Exactly.
They do it at home. Incredibly.
Right. It's not, and please forgive me, but it's not like you have a bunch of black people living in a white neighborhood and say, hey, I'm going to go, let me go to Chicago and commit crime there. No, it doesn't work that way. You're going to commit the crime where you're at.
Right. Yeah. If you're in need of something, you're going to get, I mean, there are criminal minded people, but most crime is not like criminal minded people. They're like, I need something.
Right.
I need something. I need a fix.
And see, and that's another thing we need to look at. So it seems to be that a certain demographic is faced with much harsher punishment for crimes of necessity. Like, we want to sit there and talk about, well, if they would just work for it, Well, some of these people, a lot of these people have jobs, work hard, and they still can't afford to put food on the table for themselves or their families. So yeah, they go into a grocery store and they take a loaf of bread. You know what? As far as I'm concerned, I'm fucking 100% okay with that.
Right. And it's hard to get to the everything's so interconnected, but it's hard to get that decent paying job, even you're a decent person, but
right.
if you got swept up through when you were 15 for truancy something, and then we're kind of shuffled into the juvenile system or for gang association because you knew somebody who knew somebody.
Right.
Now you have a record. It doesn't matter what you've done. You've got a record now. Thus, it's going to be harder for you to get a job.
Yep.
And so you're saying, okay, you're going to get that bagging groceries job, but you can't. That doesn't pay very well. It just doesn't. So and it's not necessarily like you're not even trying. It's like in many ways, especially with young people, they've been put in a situation where their efforts can't bear any fruit because they've already the laws have been. It's similar to the laws back in Jim Crow times.
Yep.
The laws have been written.
Oh, we didn't lose you. Yeah, this is why I got to figure something out other than this Discord stuff. I seem to lose a lot of guests mid-sentence. Jerry was, preaching to us some amazing information, and then Discord just shits the bed, and now we don't have him on the show anymore. I don't like Discord. I need to find a different way to do this. I like Discord, but yeah. Let's see here. I'm going to send him a message that we have lost his audio. Yeah. He's got a lot of good things to say. Jerry does. I really appreciate his voice on a lot of this stuff. Interesting perspectives, and what he's talking about with the industrial crime complex, with especially the minority communities. Yeah, they'll get picked up, put in the system, and they've got a record. And yeah. It makes it that much more difficult to climb the ladder, the American dream ladder that we're all told. All you have to do is pick yourself up by the bootstraps and blah, 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 blah. All right, you back?
Yes, I am.
There we are. Yes. Yeah, we got you.
All right. Oh, yeah, I was ranting for a while there. I have no idea what you heard.
I think we got all the way up to the part where we're talking about the 15-year-old who gets put through the system, and all of a sudden how that just ruins. Not necessarily ruins, but it severely handicaps the ability to climb that American dream ladder that we're all just force fed.
Yeah, it shackles them and regrettably work away. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. And so what the answer is, I think your original question is it a title thing? I can't remember how we got onto this.
So we were originally, we were talking about the military industrial complex and how
the prison industrial complex,
yep, and how there seems to be this thread of racism just embedded in how we portray the African American community, well, the minority community, period, because we've got the same thing going on with the Mexican American community, that they're druggists, rapists, so on and so forth.
They're the gang members,
right?
Yeah. It is. It's but the problem is racism does permeate a lot, but a lot of things aren't just like overt racism. And because when you talk about overt racism, people easily they put their shields up and they're just like, I'm not racist. And
I don't lynch people and I don't burn crosses in yards. Okay, cool, but there's still some racist shit that you do.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, we all have it. We all have kind of conscious bias or on some level for different things. And even black people have that toward black people because it's been taught to us,
right?
So it's really there's no easy answer. You can't just say, hey, we're going to make Juneteenth a holiday, and all of a sudden
everything's better.
Racism.
Racism's done. All we had to do was make June 19th a holiday. Racism is over, everybody.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, half of the CEOs
I can't even count how many times racism.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's like you got Black History Month, racism's over. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, racism's over.
Yeah.
Okay. Obama's president, racism's over. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on.
It just seems like those things kind of like bring out racism.
Yeah, they do. And they allow people to do they're empty gestures. They're kind of surface stuff that doesn't.
It allows white people to feel better about themselves. Oh, look what I did today! I helped the black community by giving them a new holiday. Fuck you.
And you know what? And I got to say, it's I appreciate gestures. I do.
Sure,
I appreciate
sure.
gestures. You know, it's like
I'll take I'll take another day off from work. Fuck it.
You know, and it's cringy. You know, it's when the Hollywood people do their video montage of them, you know, being all emotive and stuff. You know, but you know, it comes from a good place. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah,
I'll take it. I'll take it. Sure, the Democrats look like, you know, some weird Wakandan drill team with their claws, and it's like, well, okay, all right, that's really embarrassing. Thank you. I know it was heartfelt.
Yeah,
It doesn't solve things, though. It's a gesture. These are just gestures. So we would rather, you know, I would rather, you know, equitable, you know, educational funding. That's what I would take. I'll give me that.
Yes. Why can't we funnel some of those billions and billions and billions of dollars a year that we spend on defense budget? Why can't we take some of that and funnel that money to the inner city areas where there is just rampant amounts of poverty, and give these kids the education that they're told that all you need to do is get an education. All you need to do is get an education.
Well, yeah, because it's about priorities, because we can. We've shown that we can. We argue about, you know, whenever there's an election, you know, one group says, "Oh, we need to say, excuse all student loan debt." And people say, well, "How do you pay for it?" Right? It's like, we don't have the money for that. But then something like COVID happens, and all of a sudden, $6 trillion just shows up.
Mm-hmm.
The money's, you know, whatever money is there.
Yes.
It's just what they choose to do with it.
And
they could do it if they wanted to.
You know, people talk about, well, racism is not a problem that you can throw money at and solve. Maybe not, but you could make it a whole hell of a lot better.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I'd like to try.
Yeah, let's try it. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens if we take an extra $1 billion a year and put it towards inner city schools.
But and smartly, like you know, like back in the conversation of defunding the school and defunding the police. A lot of the defunding of the school was like, oh, hey, we need more security at schools and this and that. So we're going to take money away from the schools and put it in toward security of the schools. Like, well, they don't need the money for security as much as they need it for the teachers not having to buy their own freaking materials.
Yes.
So let's use it for that.
Right.
You know, and a lot of it is, some things are easier to do than others, because the fact is, like the black community, the even not just, you know, the poor economic community said, you know, there's a lot of crime in our schools and there's a lot of crime in our neighborhoods. You know, we need help. Can you do something? And they said, sure, we're just going to have more police. No,
that's not.
You know, people did ask for more police, but they also asked for better schools. They said, you know, this is what we need. We need better schools. We need more after school programs. We need we need outreach. We know all these things, and we need better policing. And they said, police, awesome. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah,
well, that's something they can sell to white America.
We'll do that one.
They can sell that so much easier.
Thanks, but what about the other stuff we want?
Yeah, I mean, and see, that's the thing that some of these people don't think about is, you know, when you're talking about when you're talking about strategically putting money into the school systems, you are right. You are taking a problem that is festering, right? Broken school structures, disenfranchised families that just keeps piling on and piling on and piling on. Like, if you saw your mother struggle and now you're struggling, it's 100 times more likely that your children are going to struggle and their children are going to struggle. So instead of just saying, hey, we're going to put more police to take all those people that are struggling and give them more shit that they have to struggle with, why don't we take this money, put them into these schools, make these schools a fun, informative environment to be in? Hey, check it out. You want to be a rocket scientist? This is how you do it. These are some courses that you can take in school right now that we're going to take care of. All you got to do is show up to class and learn. Right. Or, hey, you want to be an auto mechanic? Awesome. Here, we got this program over here. We can help you with that. Or you want to be this, or you want to be that, whatever. Here's all this stuff that you can do with school. And you know what? Single mom or single dad, you're having an issue, you have to work, and, you know, there's nobody there to take care of your kids after work, and they're in maybe a not so safe situation. I tell you what, we have after school programs now. We have a rec center. We have learning activities. We have this, we have that your kids can stay at and be safe, and you can come pick them up when you're finished working. Pick your children up from these places and go home, and everybody can get. All of
that would be dollar to dollar more efficiently spent money.
Yes, and if people would look at that and see how those types of programs help. And the proof is there, because if you look at the white schools that are like that have those things, those kids are more successful in college. They're more successful in the work environment because they have those support systems, those structures that are there from the time that they're in kindergarten all the way till the time they graduate college.
Yeah,
it's an amazing thing. It works. If we would,
it's an amazing thing, and that, and the tragedy of COVID makes me think about that, because, for example, here in Oakland, we have, when everything happened and the school shut down, they did a lot of remote learning, right? A lot of kids, they went home, but a lot, I would say probably a third of the kids they can't do that. They can't remote learn. They don't have the internet connection.
Exactly.
They don't have the laptop or the webcam or whatever. They don't have it, and so they can't do it. So one thing, my son's remote learning was kind of weak, just because the teachers didn't have everything they needed. A couple teachers did, so he got work from them. But a lot of the effort for the school was in making sure lunches continued.
Yes.
They were making sure that people who were basically relying on going to school to get breakfast and lunch, making sure that stuff got out. That was really most of the kind of the remote effort was let's take care of the kids who are using school to survive.
Right.
And so when things are going back, my big concern is that disparity of the schools that have what they need and those who don't. It's just going to be that much greater. It's going to be even more evidence of what money can do when you have this disparity of the have and have-nots. COVID.
Yeah, I feel like we have taken a few giant steps backwards for those very reasons when it comes to just equality.
Yeah, they haven't decided here in Oakland. They haven't decided how they're going to be schooling. There's a lot of surveys and going to find out what people can and can't do. But one of the proposals is remote learning for is those who can, and if you absolutely need to, then you end up go to school.
Right. And
other maybe some days some people go to school and some days other people go to school, so there's less. But just the idea of there being kind of a tiered system of those who can afford to do school from home get to do school from home, but those who can't because of whatever their circumstances, they end up having to go to school, having to go on site. This extra level of disparity going up. You have to go to school. Oh,
yeah,
you're one of those. You have to go to school, and how, what's that going to do then? They're not going to want to go because it's going to be no. I don't need to. No, I'm good. I can do it from home. It's
exactly. And when you have that type of system where it's just going to draw even bigger divisions between the people.
It will. This is going to be rough.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure you've been saying it. I've been saying it ever since this whole COVID-19 thing happens. This is going to take us years, if not decades, to circumnavigate, to come back from.
Yeah. There's the immediate economic effects, and however we end up crawling out of whatever hole that happens because of that, and then obviously there's the healthcare system effect. But
right,
how it affects, also going to affect this whole generation of education is going to be. We're not going to know. We're not going to know when for a while how deep it's going to hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we're still in the thick of it. I mean,
we're still in the thick of it. We're in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened at the end of a school year where most of the kids had already kind of done what they needed to do.
Right.
They're kind of in that winding down phase anyway, lucked out. But trying to come back in off of a summer where you're not doing anything anyway, so you already have that kind of educational slide where you lose what you learned anyway. And so you kind of need that ramp back up before you even get into the new stuff. It's gonna hurt this generation a lot.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen in the immediate future, and then whenever I'm a grandfather.
Which hopefully won't be for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't want to be a grandpa for at least 15 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, me too. I have a 15-year-old.
Yeah. So our kids are roughly not roughly, they're close in age.
Yeah.
We have a couple of 12 that'll be 13s. So, yeesh, I'm not looking forward to that. Not looking forward to that. All right, Jerry. I know that your time is precious. I'm sure you've got a lot of other things you would like to get done.
Sure. Yeah, I told my wife I'd be down for dinner, but at the top of the hour. So I got another. But if you had another topic you wanted to do or anything,
well, I mean, for me, golly, I could talk to you until the fucking cows come.
Well, I had to tell my wife I had limited to because I am a talker. I can just kind of.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show, because you have a lot of interesting things to say. And I enjoy the discourse. So let's get away from all the heavy talk for now, because I feel like we need to kind of go back more towards the entertainment side. What do you got coming up? What do you have in the works?
What do I have in the works? Well, let's see. YouTube. Well, YouTube wise, me and my buddy Jesse Vale. I don't know if you saw, we did a live stream the other day.
Yeah, I was in that one.
We're friends who just having conversations like you and I are having right now, or something we do on a regular basis.
Right.
Just do it we do it on phone. We go to movies and we classic. You probably have probably your partner you did the show with. You go to a movie, you park the car, you go stand by a bridge, and you just talk crap about the movie for the right. That's and we've been doing that for a long time, and so we're gonna venture into more just the two of us doing things, and we're both creatives in different ways. He's a puppeteer and a graphic artist.
That's cool.
So we'll be kind of fleshing that we're kind of working on that as a kind of a podcast, podcast. I'm working on a webcomic, a couple, and start finishing one for a friend of mine who's writing it all out, kind of plotting it out, and I'll just be doing the art, and the other that I'm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, graphic. It's originally it's just going to be I'm writing it as a graphic novel, but as I've gone on and as things have changed and print has changed, I'm probably just going to do it. I'm looking at doing it just kind of web based, and then with the idea of it eventually being compiled. And then I'll just be doing probably just videos of that, just like the creative process. I
always like that behind the scenes stuff. That's the coolest part about creativity for me, is to find out how the people that I like to consume, how they created their stuff. That's always.
I love that. I love that myself. Musician, especially stuff that I can't. It's like
right.
That's magic.
Exactly. Sometimes though, it does take away from the magic, and you're like, oh, okay, because I'll find myself sitting in a movie thinking, oh, well, this is done with this type of shot, with this type of camera angle, and they do this or they did that, and it kind of kills the magic for it a little bit. But also, on the other hand, it gives me an appreciation for it.
Yeah. Are you a musician yourself, or just
I am a musician. Yes, I'm a musician. Entertainment, basically. I play guitar since I was 16 years old. So I played guitar for years.
Been in multiple bands.
Multiple bands, yeah.
What? Unless you hit it big time, all working musicians that I know are in multiple bands.
You have to be. And you want to talk about
vocalists and some instrumentalists, and they're all just like, "Hey, I got a gig on Saturday." It's like, "Oh, with who?" It's like, "Oh, with this one." "Oh, okay, you're with that." That's what you're doing. I didn't know which music I'm going to go see. It's like, "Oh, it's the Zydeco band." Oh, it's the blues band. Okay, that's who you're doing.
Exactly. So that's kind of another funny thing, is that musician wages haven't changed in 50 years.
Really?
No, that's for certain. So back in the 50s, you made $50 a man, and you're lucky to make $50 a man now, currently. So, yeah.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, different wages for different types of events. You can always negotiate with club owners and whatnot. But yeah, on average, you can pay $50 a man.
Are you in several bands right now?
Right now, no. Right now, I work. I work for the. I just work.
Yeah, you don't need to dox yourself out here.
Yeah, that's right. I better not do that. But yeah, I do that. And so with my work schedule, it's difficult. I'm actually in a band that the program director of rockmetaltalk.com and I started about a year and a half ago, and it's cross country. So we've got a bass player who's in Jersey. We've got the singer, he's in Florida. I'm here in Texas, and then we've got just a phantom drummer that we don't know where he's at. So it's just all over the place.
He's just like an AI somewhere.
Exactly, that's exactly what he is. I just say, hey, this is what we want it to sound like, and then it comes back sounding that way, and we're all good. But yeah. So there's that gives me some creative outlet, and then of course doing the plot hole and YouTube, that gives me some other creative outlets, so I can stay sane while working for the man.
He's always doing something.
Are
Writing.
you doing something with your literary background?
I am not, unfortunately.
Not for money.
Not for money. Yeah, not for money. I had these grand dreams of I'm going to get my education, I'm going to get my bachelor's, and then after that I'm going to get my master's, and then I'm going to get my PhD, and just because I want to have a PhD, I want to make people call me doctor. That's what I want to do, and I'm going to use this, and I'm going to do fuck all with it. And I got to the point where my senior year in college, now granted it took me like 20 years to get my bachelor's, but whatever.
But you did it.
But I did it. Senior year, we had our youngest daughter, and she was premature, so that kind of like halted.
And a big surprise.
Yeah. So it halted a lot of my
right
plans and whatnot. And ever since then, I kind of just never steered the ship back to that thing. I went back to work a few years later, and
when you talk about the disparity of the masses and the classes, I mean, we can't afford for you not to work and me not to work.
Right.
It's
for a lot of folks.
Yeah. So with 4 children, and I just don't have enough time in the day. Yeah, 4.
What's the range?
12, almost 11 in like a month, and then 5.
So from 5 to 12.
Oh, you had one surprise?
Yeah.
Well, so the running joke is I have 4 children, and I tell them the ages, and I tell them the 12, 10, and 5, and I'll say, guess which one was the oops baby? And they'll say, the 5-year-old. I said, no, it's a trick question. They're all the oops babies.
That's kind of true. We didn't really plan. I'm kind of a spontaneous type.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
All right, Jerry. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
I'm sure you want to get down to the wife and enjoy your dinner. Thank you for coming on. You have an open invitation. You are more than welcome to come on.
This is great. No, this is I'll when do you end up videoizing this stuff and get on?
So I'll do a highlight video. Those go live on Wednesday. I have like this window that I can't put this stuff on YouTube simply because I'm trying to drive traffic to the podcast site. So Wednesdays I'll put the highlight video out, and I'll make sure and tag you or send it. I'll tweet it out and put you on there. So absolutely,
please do. Yeah, and I'll send people your way.
Oh, rockin'! I would appreciate that.
Thank you.
I look forward to.
This is great.
Yeah, man. I look forward to seeing what you got coming up. I look forward to all your creative endeavors. Like I said, it's been a pleasure. Absolutely thrill of mine to have you on the show. Anytime you want to come on.
Likewise, this is great.
Yeah,
and next time, hopefully it'll be, less heavy topics, and
we have some fun. Yeah, just talk shit about movies.
Yeah, once movies start again.
Yeah, when those happen. All right, Jerry, it was awesome speaking with you. We will catch you on the flip.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. Take care, Mama.
Thank you.
Call you Mama?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
You too.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely,
All
Jerry.
right.
Appreciate it. All right, man, that was fun.
Nice guy.
He is so fun. If I ever turned you on to a YouTube channel, it would be the GreaterSapien and AKA GreaterSapien. He's got some amazing content, science and just commentary. The guy he's so fun to watch. Just because he's very passionate.
Need to check it out.
Yeah, he's very passionate about the things he talks
about. It.
about maybe going there someday.
One day.
Yeah. But yes, always a fun time. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you came back because it's fun to bounce stuff off of. But we have to go to musical break.
Fine.
Take a musical break.
Fine. You just don't like hearing what I have to say.
Oh no, I want to hear what you have to say. I'm at work all day long. When I'm at work, I think, what would Erica have to say about this? You laugh, but I'm serious.
Yeah?
Yeah. What would my wife have to say about this?
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. And then sometimes I'll think about it. Let me text you really quick. Other times I can't because the thing that I'm thinking about, what my wife think about this,
is right in front of you.
Is right in front of a customer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I can't. Better not because...
Hold on. Wait.
Yeah, excuse me.
Can you say that again while I type?
Yeah, I'm going to type out what you say verbatim. Do you want to hear anything specific?
No.
No? You sure?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Bob Marley?
Oh, I got some Bob Marley. Yeah. Let's see here. Where do I have? No, that's Dylan.
We were talking about some kind of heavy stuff this morning. Me and my coworkers, we have a morning meeting every morning, and it's funny, the days that you're off, we wind up talking just about like personal stuff. You're probably like, these women don't actually do any work. But,
I try as best I can not to eavesdrop on your conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were talking about some heavy stuff, and Carmen said that her mom always tells her that every little thing is going to be all right. And so I've had Bob Marley on my brain ever since.
Well, that's funny because the one Bob Marley track that I have just happens to be this one.